he makes all his content is around that type of stuff, and he's like, "Did you know that American cities are all motherboards, computer motherboards?"
Yeah.
And he showed in like,
welcome in.
"Hey, welcome into the podcast, the Know Nothings."
What's up? I always like to surprise Ray when he's talking about something. I always like to get him. Hey, John's with us.
Hey.
There's John.
John finally made it. John,
He's
the
in
gift
kill
giver.
room. Look at that. He's in the kill room. No green screen for
right.
John.
He definitely looks like he's being interrogated. If
He
you look
is.
at him on screen.
I'm nervous. I'm scared.
I tried to match it up a little bit with this nice room behind us on green screen with this barn door thing, but look at the conscience. Like, hey, we're in a pretty nice house. John, you're about to get murdered.
Yeah.
So go on with your circuit boards.
So so we're talking about the lost civilizations and how maybe we aren't the most advanced society and that they had advanced societies for us and all that got killed off, and all that is super plausible, by the way, in my opinion.
100%.
Well, now this guy has come up with a theory that cities, when you look at he took an aerial view, like drone shots.
Just a little.
Took drone shots of these cities, and they look exactly like computer motherboards. Like he was put side by side a computer motherboard, then he would put the cities and the way the circuits are inlaid and just everything.
But
and
wouldn't every city? But the way motherboards work is it's kind of like a city, maybe, like, you know what I mean. But which came first?
And
these
the city
came first.
And these are all only cities that happen to have structures that look like it's from another civilization. Like no way that was built in 1880, right? Like it's
okay, that's interesting.
The architecture's too advanced, the city's too advanced for the time frame they're saying it came from. All the cities he's alleging look like a motherboard are from that time. And then if you look at the pyramids, the pyramids are laid out like a motherboard, which was wild. Because if you think about all the other shit going on with the pyramids, like, they point to the North Star.
Right.
And they're not even, if they'd have been off by a centimeter.
Aren't they like
building
on the
this-
three belt of like Orion kind of, or some 3 stars? They're kind of like lined up with
it's
these
like
3 stars?
the pyramid is here, and then
The
there's like
Egyptian pyramids.
The Egyptian pyramids.
Okay.
And there's a strip, and then there's something else here, and then there's something else here. And if you lay out circuitry and look at the circuitry of a computer, it looks very similar to that. I mean, I don't know. It's just interesting to me. It's super interesting.
I saw this thing where they were doing this thing on TikTok where people take a picture of the sky and then zoom in and then put this certain filter on it, and it showed circuit boards in the sky on their picture. Just they would zoom way into where it was like nothing, blue nothingness. Put a filter on it, and it had all like these,
and
it said circuit board in the sky.
Yeah,
like the sky's is a digital program.
I'll send you these.
We're
I'll send you all these
the
links after the show. I'll send you all these links, and you can look at these. Like when you hear it, it's kind of like, oh yeah, whatever.
Send me the links, and I'll put them on the bottom of the
Yeah,
YouTube channel, and then people can click on it and look at it.
Yeah, when you see them, you go, holy shit! I mean, just. Some of them look like microchips. Some of them look like processors.
Really,
it's unbelievable.
You got to figure out how much of that is just our preconceived perception of that. Are we seeing stuff that we want to see in this?
That we know exists. Like we know what a computer chip is.
Our brain is
Our
making
brain's
it
saying
look
it's a
like it.
computer
Right.
chip.
It's like looking at
100%.
Mars. Remember that face on Mars?
Oh yeah.
Now with all the high tech stuff we got
It
now,
looks nothing like it. Yeah.
It looks nothing like it. It doesn't even look like a face.
Yeah.
Just because it was so blurry and far away, your brain goes, "That's a face."
But I never thought that was a face, and I don't know that I think that cities are. But when you start hearing like astrophysicists putting forth as a legitimate theory that it's more likely we're in a simulation than not in a simulation,
base reality.
That we're not
They say we're not in base reality.
We're not in base reality. The odds of this being base reality are far greater than this not being base reality.
Well, they also say you can't prove that we're not
no, of course.
in base reality. There's no way to prove it. So
Yeah,
so we're probably not.
That's
because you can't prove it.
I've got a long-standing argument with a friend of mine about who is dreaming who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm real and you're in my dream. I'm dreaming all of this. She's like, no, I'm real and I'm dreaming all of you. And it's like, well, prove it. Well, you prove it.
Who's the main character?
Right.
Well,
Like, are you like you walk around and you're the main character of your story?
Yeah.
You know,
of your story.
Of your story. Like,
but not of everyone else's.
not of
story.
everyone else's. Everybody else is like we're first person shooters over here. Like I'm the guy. I'm in that. It's like Well, you're in my dream.
But when you
It's like
follow
what you're saying.
when you follow the simulation theory, though, it's like
An MMO where everybody's playing
Well,
on
no.
the same on the same
every
server.
There's one consciousness, right?
The server.
There's the server, one
server.
consciousness, and everyone's sharing that collective consciousness.
Right.
And then what you're doing and what you're seeing and perceiving depends on what you want to see and want to perceive and want to have there, like levels to a game.
Right. Me and Joe had this really great thing that we talked about called we called it levels, life levels, the game.
Uh-huh.
And it would be like an app that you would be like, I worked out today. You click, you worked out today. You ate so many meals today. Click, you ate so many meals, and you just gain all of these points through this app. Like you're just like
You build your character.
constantly
Yeah, you're
building
building
your
your character,
character in this, and you're like, hey, I ran a mile today. Click. I got a girlfriend today. Click, and you would just build and see who had as many points as you could possibly get.
Yeah, so as the simulation theory goes further and further, it ties into other religions, other philosophies. That's what makes it a plausible theory, because you go, well, no, what about, karma or things like this? Those things are real because too many experiences. You go, well, yeah, it could be, and that could be an offshoot of the simulation theory. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
the fact that when they say, well, when you die, your consciousness and energy lives forever, and it goes out into the ether, and then you've got to go to this place, and then you've got to decide what you want to come back as. And they're like, yeah, that could exist, as well as these other religions, as all part of the simulation.
It's
all-
DLC. It's DLCs. It's downloadable content.
Yeah.
We're respawning is what it is.
Respawning.
Yeah.
Hey, I the theory about like when you have deja vu actually is like you've died.
Yeah.
And you've come back and respawned, like you said. You come back and respawn, and then like you're living from that point on until the next time you have it. It's like you died.
Well, then some people now. There's also. Have you seen the theory that we all did die in 2012, like the Mayan calendar?
Did I send that to you? The Mayan calendar thing. Here's
I
the
don't
thing.
think maybe, but
I did, and you
I get
didn't
so much
watch
stuff-
it. It's on TikTok.
I watched it because it's
Okay, so the Mayan calendar,
much stuff
according to
between
this,
people.
was right. There were 3 huge things shot at us from the solar flares shot directly at us from the sun. They passed through between the Earth and the moon, but the only reason they did is because they were deflected by something. They're saying there's a big spaceship out there that deflected it with something.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that whole thing is that's when we split reality. And remember we talked about how past 2012 everything was kind of
different.
different.
Oh, yeah.
So like in our reality a ship deflected it, but in the other reality it didn't. It destroyed Earth. So then they like meshed our two realities together.
And everyone died.
Everyone died.
And everyone died in 2012, and we're all just living part of the dream, which is just a simulated dream that's in the simulation from the universe computer code. I mean,
couldn't we have made it easier? Couldn't we have like maybe made it a little easier to live?
We all come back as millionaires.
well, no. You couldn't, because that's the point. So that's the point. This is the hardest level.
Right.
That's the point. Like the people that get to come to Earth are like, what do they call, blessed souls or fortunate souls is how they the people that look at the people that believe in all the people that don't put simulation into it, but just believe in like the afterlife and karma, and you go into your spot, you got to figure if you didn't do a good job, you got to come back and do it again, etc.
Right.
This is the level that when you're like, hey, do you want to go back? Do you want to go to Earth, or do you want to go back to Earth, or do you want to go to Earth? When you decide to do that, they're thinking you're someone special that can pull this off, because
Right.
this journey sucks. It's not supposed to be fun at all.
Oh.
Like we get bits of fun in there.
This
but
is supposed to be fun?
This is the hardest level. No, not
Oh.
fun. Not
No.
fun. This is the hardest level. All the other levels are fun. You're just an observer.
Oh, so some people though like not to have fun. They like it to be hard. So we're like, yeah, send me back.
That's
I
why.
wanna do the
That's
hard
why
part.
you opted to come back, and you opted to come back, and I opted to come back, and you have no memory of those previous things. That's the whole catch. When you do say I'll go back, there's no memory of it.
Right.
No memory of the previous. That's why deja vu comes in. You'll think like, do I know what's fixing to happen? Have I lived this whole?
I'm telling
Yeah.
you, something happened to me the other day that I knew exactly was going to happen. I was
You
standing
told me
in the
that.
kitchen.
About the truck pulling up.
About the truck pulling up.
Dickerson pulling Christie.
Yeah. Bringing keys to the car. I got up and I walked in the kitchen. I said, and I saw it in my mind. I said, I'm going to go get the mail real quick. And then I saw them pulling up in the car in my head and then giving me the keys. I said, if I walk out right now, they'll be here when I walk. And it happened exactly the way I saw it in my mind happen. I went outside, I got the mail, I walked up the driveway, there came the car down, pulled in, gave the kid. It happened exactly how I saw it.
Same car.
Same car.
Oh,
it
yeah.
happened exactly how I saw it.
Same car, same person,
It was
everything.
crazy.
It
was crazy.
I've had numerous experiences like that. I can't say like thousands, but like
That's
a bunch.
probably the most vivid one I've had in a long time. Like that one where I've like something slapped me in the face and was like, "This is gonna happen if you go outside right now. This
Yeah.
will happen."
I have never experienced that to my
Really?
recollection. No.
That was pretty wild. I was just kind of like, the funny thing about it was too is like I was like, I know it's gonna happen. If I go now, this will happen. I knew it.
The most vivid one that ever happened to me was in high school at a football game, and I was on the sidelines. And I remember I was like, and I'm watching this game, right? And I was, because I'm on the sidelines, wasn't playing at that time, and I was like, this is where and I just thought to myself, this is the part of the game where that team's going to run a toss left. The guy's going to get like a 40-yard gain, and Mark Freeman's going to run him down out of bounds at about 42 yards from here. I was like, and they hike the ball, they toss left, the guy breaks it for like 40, and Mark Freeman comes and gets him at the sideline. I was like,
Oh my gosh.
I saw the whole play develop. I was freaked out the whole rest of the game.
That's wild.
I was like 14 years old too, and I was like, and look, I didn't remember. I couldn't tell you what was going to happen the rest of the game. But
No, you're like 14. You weren't like you didn't know like all the plays. They had been watching it all the time.
No,
or knew
I was
the
just
plays
like-
or what was the fact that the guy came down and tackled him where you thought
I knew
it was,
that
what
he
if-
tackled him exactly where I knew he would tackle him, at
Yeah.
the exact spot on the sidelines. The play was the exact play I saw being ran in my head. And then after that, I didn't see any more plays. I didn't know anything else that was going to happen. It was just that little 30-second. Everything that was happening leading up to the play, like the chattering on the sidelines, people talking, coaches talking, I'd lived all that before. I was like, this. I know all this. I know everything that's happening.
I've really gotten to the point in my life where when I am just normal day stuff, driving my car or whatever, I do view it as like a game. I just really do.
Yeah.
I view it as like a simulation. I think about it all the time.
Me too.
And I just drive down the road and I'm like, you know. It's like you got to abide by the rules though.
Yeah.
Or it gets like
You
the
have
game
to-
gets fucked up.
You have to abide by the rules of the game to make
Like-
it as easy as the game can be, and to make you be as successful within the game,
Right.
within the parameters of the
It's
game.
actually made me really good with like paying bills and saving money as
Really?
a game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like if you think about it kind of like that, you kind of just like, okay, if I don't go out and eat these couple of times, I could shove that money into the bank account.
What?
And it's made me like really chop up everything I do into
Have
like
you-
little tiny.
have you
increments
noticed-
for some weird reason?
Have you noticed that within the simulation, like no matter what you do, even if you fuck it up, everything works out no matter what. No
Yeah.
matter what, everything. If
Yeah.
you're like, if you're just have all this stress and the weight of the world on you, you're going through a divorce, you can't pay your bills, whatever. You're just like, oh my God, I'm never gonna make it. This is the worst. Like, how am I gonna pay these bills? Next day, lights are on, everything. It just work. Or a check shows up, something happens that makes it where you can continue along the game. It's wild because I've had so many times in my life where I'm like, I'm just not going to make it another week. Like I'm not
Out of
like,
options.
I'm out of options. This is a tough time in life right now, or whatever. Here we are, though. 15 years later, 20 years later, 10 years later, and it always just seems like right when everything's about to fall apart, something happens that makes you continue the game. I'll give you an example. One time in college, me and my friend, my roommate, were driving back to our apartment, right? He had no money. And when I say no money, I'm not talking about like, oh, I'm check to check. No. I'm talking about he had no money and I had no money. We were out of coins. We were out of dollar bills. We had no credit. Nothing. $0. And we were starving. And we're driving. And I was just like, fuck. I was like, what do we? And we weren't getting paid for like 2 days till I was going to have a shift. I think I was a server then. So like 2 days I was going to have a shift and get some money. And he's like, man, he's like, I mean, there's literally no money. We're going to have to like rob or steal or do something. And we're going through all this thing. And then I was like, I don't know. It's like it's just hopeless. And we just show up and I go to the mailbox. And in the mailbox, there's a check from a company I'd worked for like 2 years previously for like $12.67.
Oh my God.
It was like just enough money.
Yeah, to go to
It
McDonald's.
was
Yeah.
it was literally just enough money to do the thing to continue in the game. Which who knows how that kind of shit happens? I don't know. I just find it weird. Like why it's never happened to me since. It's never happened. It just happened to me at the one time it absolutely had to happen to me. I don't know.
Really weird.
I think there's probably more than one person who would disagree with that, though.
But they're still here. They're still in the game.
You're still in the
Yeah,
game.
but are they?
They're just at a different level in the game, right? They're still in the game though. They didn't die. Like they think they're gonna die. It feels like that's what I'm saying. It feels
So
I mean, when you
I'm not
die,
saying-
that's it. You're out of the game.
you're out of the game.
I mean, you could.
I guess some
Do you-
people do exit the game. to
Oh,
be fair.
sure, yeah.
let people exit the game. Yeah.
Oh yeah, some people can't. Some
But
people
for
are
the
just.
most part, 99% of the time or more,
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah,
they're still
yeah. People are
resilient.
Thank you for the word.
I've learned in my game to like set up like so I don't fall into those.
don't fall into
categories.
those. Yes,
I've learned
Cheat codes.
cheat codes. I've learned.
You bought the game
like,
guide.
Like make sure I have enough money for everything I'm doing.
but
I'm not-
outside of money, other things, relationships, bad relationships. Something goes south in the relationship, and you're just like, I can't live like this anymore. It's not. This game's not fun anymore. I don't want to play it anymore. I don't care about anything. That's how it gets when you're like going through those type of situations.
just
Like
make the decisions.
you just make the decision to keep navigating through the game, and things. I don't know. They just. It's like. They.
I will.
I,
I gotta pee anyway.
I don't want to say that I'm not. I won't say that it works out great. That's not the point
You're
I'm
the
making.
easiest to get up.
that's
I'm trapped behind these
Yeah,
cameras.
that's not the point I'm making. Is not that it's easy. It's just that somehow, some way,
Usually, things happen, and you're like, "Oh, everything's gonna be
everything's
all
going to be okay.
Everything's gonna be all right." Like me, I had some stuff happen, and I don't want to get into it or whatever. But then, like, you just kind of accept it, and you're like, "Well, fuck it, I'm just gonna pay it off.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna make it happen." And then what happens is when you get into that mindset of like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna dig in, and I'm gonna pay it off and make it happen," and it happens. Like you do it. Yeah. Obviously, if you say I'm going to dig in and pay it off and make it happen, and you sleep till noon every day, that's not going to work.
no, because you're not. Being,
I think it helps you along if you have the right attitude, feeling, and go-getterness.
I think it
If
happens.
that's even a word. You know what I mean? Like if you need $5,000, say in a couple of months, you can get $5,000 in a couple of months. You can go down here if you have a push mower. You can ask every single person around this place, "Hey, let me mow your lawn for you.
And take all that. You go DoorDash.
I'll mow your
go
lawn
Uber.
for $50. I'll mow your. How much does this guy mow your lawn for? Well, I want to mow it for you. Give me $20. People throw you $20 to mow their lawn, and you just go down the street and do it. You can do
Wouldn't that
all
depend-
that stuff. It's just what are you willing to do?
Wouldn't that depend on how your character was built, which you'd have no control over?
What do you mean?
I'm saying the character is built by programming, right?
Right.
Simulation is
Thank
built
you,
through
John.
Simulation is built through a program. No decision that Mario makes has any impact on the game. It's the people that program the game and playing the game. So you don't know if you're going to be a go-getter that day or not, or that week. You might be because you were built that way. I might be because I was built that way. I'm saying everybody built at a different. Does that make sense? The program builds everyone so differently.
It does build people differently.
It builds everyone so differently.
People are better at other things than other things. I mean, they really are.
I look at things that are so easy for me and so natural, and I wonder why somebody else can't do it. And they'll look at something that's so easy for them and so natural, and I can't do it.
Right.
And they can't understand why I can't do it, and I can't understand why they can't do the thing. It's because we're on.
Like, I could totally just start a company where I just was like, "Hey, I'll come paint your house," because I can paint. I've painted every house I've ever been in. I've repainted. And I do a good job, and I'm very meticulous, and like every detail, down to the detail where I'm like aggravated if I'm sitting there and I'm like looking at something over there, and I'm like, and nobody else sees it. You can't see it unless you like get your eyeball on it and look right, and I'm just like, that fucking spot over there. That I would be a great. If I started a painting business, I could totally paint people's houses. They'd love it.
That's the interesting part of your character.
Yeah.
Like the interesting part of.
Oh, the OCD.
Do like the OCD part where like I'm painting like you're painting the what are they freaking called, the edges of everything, and you like get this bead with the paint and you just lock in on that bead and you just follow that sucker on down like that. I am just like way into that. Like for some reason that is so
Plus, it's very
satisfying.
zen.
Yeah,
It's very zen.
And some people are programmed to don't have that trait at all, but they were put into the game to entertain us. They're like great dancers or basketball players or whatever, and their role is completely different than yours. They could never do that.
I will tell you this. we're talking about how like everything got mishmashed and like people that are different now.
Oh, yeah.
I am different now.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I used to I really did like I used to write all these songs and have these ideas. I don't think that's me anymore. That's not. I'm a different person.
Yeah.
Like I sit down to write music and stuff, and it's not. I don't feel like I'm getting that channel of like what I used to get.
Divinity.
Have y'all seen Dylan's? Have you ever seen Bob Dylan's interview about that exact thing?
No.
So he's talking on 60 Minutes, and he's like, "Well, they're talking. Oh, you did this. You're such." He goes, "Yep." He's talking on 60 Minutes, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a thing I did." He goes, "I sure did." He goes, "I wish I could do it now." And he goes, "You can't do it now?" And Bob Dylan's like, "Absolutely not." He goes, he goes, "The man, both the sun and moon, blah blah blah." He goes, he starts quoting these lyrics he had, and he's like, "That's fantastic, isn't it?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's one of your greatest songs." He's like, "I can't do that anymore." He's like, "I can't do any of that." He goes, "There was a time when I could. It was like a 6-year window when I was the best songwriter in the world, and I could write these crazy things that were wild and thought-provoking, and they would pull all this out of you." And he goes, "Haven't been able to do that for 40 years. He goes, like, "You're kidding." He's like, "I'm not kidding at all." He goes, Dylan goes, "Tell me something in the last 40 years that that I wrote that's comparable to something I wrote in 1967.
Yeah, nothing.
He's like, "But I've written tons of albums and put them out." He goes, "But they're not good like that."
Right.
Sometimes your muse just leaves you.
Yeah, that's what he said. He goes, I'm happy that I had it for the amount of time it was gifted to me, and I owe. And this is when he went on to say,
Yeah, I totally get that because I can write a song. I know how to write a song,
but
it's not gonna be. It's for some reason I just don't have like that ability to be like, "Oh, now I'm gonna do this," and then everybody while I'm in the room while I'm writing the song goes, "Oh wow," I don't have that anymore.
Yeah,
I just don't, and it sucks.
That's what he said. Yeah,
It sucks. But I do have other things I'm better at now.
that's exactly what Dylan said.
Really?
He goes, well, they go, "Oh, the guy with the interviewer was like, oh, that's such a shame," go, "Gosh," and he goes, "It's okay." He goes, because he's an old man. Old man's got wisdom.
Right.
He's like 75. He's like, "It's okay." He goes, "There's plenty of things I can do now that I couldn't do then. That's just not one of them."
There's plenty of things I can do now that I can't do then.
Never could sing, so that's
I can do them now, but I couldn't do them then.
But he went on. And also in that interview, he went on to say, talk about
The devil?
the Illuminati and the devil.
Oh yeah, that he got those powers from that.
He was like, "Well, I owed." He's like, "I owed somebody, and I still owe them." And they go, "Well, who do you owe?" And Dylan kind of laughed. He goes, "Well, the chief." And he said, "The chief?" And he goes, "The chief of what? The chief of Earth?" And he goes, "Earth and what you can see and what you can't see, but yeah, the chief."
Yeah, wow.
Wow, that's
John,
going to be a big bill to pay when it comes due.
Oh yeah.
Do you believe in that? Do you think that the people that like the 27 Club and the people that like have lightning in a bottle really sign their
Sold their
souls over to
soul?
the devil? Or the devil, or whatever that is. What is that, or whatever that is?
A group of people that have power and money and influence.
Yeah,
on
but
Earth.
then how do you make?
That's what I think
How do you then make me go, "Oh my God, Gavin Rossdale is so dreamy and awesome, and his music makes me just flutter around"? How do they do that? A group of people can't do that.
Oh, yes, they can.
How?
The way they market you and sell you.
Oh,
and put you out there.
absolutely.
And they say you write the music. I guess maybe maybe they don't write the music.
They can
Exactly.
absolutely turn the court of public opinion to wherever they want.
I guess so.
I can tell you this.
But look, the best part is like if you have just a little bit of ability, then if you have sex appeal and a little bit of ability, they can just push you up.
Push
into
you
that
up. Yeah,
echelon.
auto tune you all
but
the heck.
they can
and,
change. They can change the way.
By the way, the last 2 Bush albums. I know I always say this. They're awesome.
They're really great.
They're really great. And Bush is like kind of a mediocre, band
I
in
saw
the
them live.
90s.
They're definitely not mediocre.
Well, no, when in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the grand scheme
of
a
things.
historical perspective. Yeah.
I think of them more than what anybody else would that isn't like a fan of
That
them.
is
I'm
like
a
a
huge
fan.
fan.
Well, that is
but
obvious.
I think they are awesome. Like I love all of the last 2 albums are just so great.
they're really good.
It's really great. He must have re-signed up. He must have signed up.
He didn't get. I don't think he got enough fame to have been a soul seller.
Really?
No, I think that's a different level. But here's what I was going to say is,
Well, you could probably screw that up.
yeah, you could screw it
You
up.
could screw it up, but you like change your mind midway. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to release that song.
Well, me and you need to go to the Crossroads.
We really do. We need a film out there.
Yeah, I'm not going.
Those powerful people or the devil or whatever that is.
I hear you'd like to sell your soul for blues fame.
I would. They could totally change public perception. Like Pete Davidson, y'all know who Pete Davidson is, right? Okay. Pete Davidson, at no time on earth, never in my entire lifetime has somebody that looks like Pete Davidson been considered sexy. All of a sudden, the media and everybody puts him forth as this sex symbol, and he is a sex symbol.
And he starts dating
everybody.
Only the hottest people on earth. And he becomes, and women fawn over this
and
guy
they put
now.
him in a movie, the Long Island movie or whatever.
Right. But what I'm
and
saying,
it wasn't bad. I watched that movie.
No,
Did you watch that
no,
movie?
Was it good?
It was pretty good.
King of Staten Island.
King of Staten Island. It was pretty good.
He's a great comedian and actor. That's not my point. My point is that no time in history would he be what we consider a traditional male sex symbol. But because the powers, the Illuminati, the devil, whatever it is, because they all said he was sexy within 6 months. Look, he had a career for 10 years where not one.
Well, he was on Saturday Night Live and he wasn't funny at all. And then I remember that he would get on there and he would say that has to be pointed. Yeah, he would say like he would. At the end of the show, he'd be like, "I don't know why I'm on here. I'm not funny," And then it would be like the show was over, whatever. And he's being funny doing that.
I think,
but he wasn't funny.
But I'm talking about the sex appeal thing.
How does sex appeal thing's crazy to me? That makes no sense.
They couldn't make you right like this.
They can make you funny.
They could make you right like that. If you got enough minds in a building, you got enough people, they could do anything.
Well, think about it like
enough propaganda.
Think about it like as it is a computer program. If they put you in front of everyone's eyes and stick a Kardashian on your side, and then everybody's like, "You're hot, you're hot, you're hot, you're hot," people are like, "That's the new hotness.
That's the new hot.
That's the new hotness."
And
looking like some, I don't even know what nationality is. It's so weird. I don't even. He's not white. He's not black. I don't know what he is. They made fun of him on all these roasts. They were like, "I don't even know what nationality you are. You're like some weird gremlin or something." I don't know. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You could. I've always thought this too. Styles. We were talking about Styles. I'm gonna pop my collar.
Yeah.
Popping my collar.
Styles are just.
And you were like, dude, that went out in '91 or whatever. And I was like, well, every time you go on RalphLauren.com, they've got 4 layers on, and all the collars are all popped up like this.
All right.
And it's that's really cool online.
Well, because he
with
only
all that.
he only
but
sells,
then you do it. You do go downtown with your sweater and your shirt and your pop collars and all that, and everybody's like, "What's
up with this
do?
douchebag?
What's up with this?"
Right, I'm going to go. I know I'm way out of your comfort level, but did you see Josie and the Pussycats, the movie?
Yes, I love that movie.
It's a great movie. It's full of the base of the story is they're putting subliminal messages behind everybody's pop star songs,
right?
And using Mr. Movie Phone.
And using Mr. Movie Phone.
Oh, that's
and,
awesome.
and they do exactly what you're talking about. That is new hotness.
Yeah.
They're like, you want to buy, Coca-Cola, and then everybody starts buying Coca-Cola.
So
It always say something is the new something.
Right. It is a fantastic. It's not supposed to be, but it is.
You would probably
fantastic.
like it.
It sounds interesting. Something I'd like.
It's got a little bit of music in it that you have to. It's Powerpuff. It's
so
puffy.
I'll be your backdoor lover.
But
boy band.
It's really funny because it's about bands, and if you like bands and it's about these 3 girls, blah blah blah. But it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little girly, but it's actually I really enjoy it.
Yeah, well,
like
it's Tara Reid and Rosario Dawson and what's her name? Who's Josie?
Oh, I don't know.
But the point of
Actually,
that
who's
was
the hottest
the
pussycat?
point of that was
Yeah,
that
it was her.
They completely.
She's the hottest one.
They completely shifted public perception based on the way they sold the merch. Okay, think about the Dylan example, right? What if everything that Dylan said from 65 to 71 was just nonsense, like it kind of sounds like?
Everybody's got a beef with me and others in a tree. Oh wow!
But what if it's nonsense? But they just tell everyone this guy's a genius. Then you start going, well, this is if everybody says this guy's a genius, you start looking.
That's
for the,
really funny.
You start looking for the genius in the nonsense.
And everything.
That's really funny because that's kind of like a Jim Morrison kind of thing. Because people that love Jim Morrison, hey, he's a lyrical genius.
I have hot takes on Jim Morrison.
And it's he was kind of a drunk
Yeah, there's
Like
my-
I love their music.
I don't love.
I love the Doors, but
I like the Doors.
people will constantly tell you things like that, and if you don't have a strong enough opinion about it, you're like, man, Jim Morrison was a lyrical genius.
He is a genius. He's the poet of our times.
He's the
'Cause
poet
they're like,
of our
this
times.
is the poet of our times. And then they show him on stage, and
He's just a drunk.
I am the Lizard King, and they're like, he's the poet of our time.
Want to see my wiener?
And everyone says it over and over again till you
accept it.
Till even musicians who are like, say, brilliant musicians are sitting around at like the Rainbow in Hollywood, and they're like, I guess Morrison's a genius, right? And they're like,
Right.
of course he's a genius.
Well, you don't.
Yeah.
You also don't want.
What, you don't think he's a genius?
Yeah, and then
Yeah, you're like, you don't think Jim. What are you, an idiot? What are you, stupid?
Well, 2 months prior to everybody saying he's a genius, there might have been those same musicians sitting around a room going like, "Yeah, it's Doors thing. I mean, they're kind of lame.
It's kind of lame. They got that organ blasting in your ear the whole time.
They're no Beatles, you know." And then all of a sudden, somebody starts purporting them as this, and
It's
he
like-
becomes this.
Now, it may not have been the Doors, but I guarantee you that's happened before. Court of public opinion is a powerful.
Oh, it's everything. They use it
powerful
for
thing.
everything.
You can just in America in particular, this is we're kind of going off track, which I love.
I love
in
it. We're everywhere. It makes good TikTok videos, though.
America loves to build somebody up to destroy them.
Hey, I'm bringing them back down.
Build them up to destroy. I would never want to be like the top 20 most famous people in America.
No.
Make me like the number 1,000th famous.
All
Now,
right, well,
I wanna-
who's that happen to? Who have we built up to tear down and not build back up again?
Chris Rock,
Britney Spears,
Britney Spears,
Paris Hilton.
No, wait, not Chris Rock.
Oh, we love a redemption story too. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
They tried to do
Well,
it
they
to
made
Dave.
Britney crazy, right? They made Britney a crazy person.
They tried to do it to
Yeah,
Dave Chappelle.
but she's not crazy anymore. So they brought her like up.
No, she still is
had
crazy, I
think. No,
but
I think she's still
look,
crazy.
Think about it like this: this girl's going through a mental breakdown. Okay, she was going through a mental having a mental breakdown,
A big-
live, and they were filming this live on TV. And instead of trying to help this person, they were
Everybody watched this.
Everybody watched it and laughed at her shaving her head and hitting because it is entertaining. But if you know, like, that person's suffering with a mental illness,
Right.
And we're just it's not like the public needs to be smart, but the people putting it out need to be smart.
Leave Britney alone.
Leave Britney alone. Chris Tucker. The same thing happened to Chris Tucker. He was.
Williams,
Well, no, listen to Chris Tucker was,
Chappelle.
Chappelle.
Chappelle's
Tucker,
back.
But Chappelle talked about Chris Tucker. He said that you think people in this business that become multimillionaires by doing these things are stupid people? They're smart people. He said they're strong. They're independent people who have goals, and they meet those goals, and they do things that they have to do to make them happen. And then you have Chris Tucker, who was this huge movie star and comedian, and then he's running through the streets high on crack saying they're trying to kill me.
Yeah.
And those are quoting Dave Chappelle.
Was he even high on crack?
Right. Like
Was
he
he even
said,
high on crack?
they're trying to kill me. I have to get out of here. And Dave Chappelle, that's why Dave Chappelle's like explaining a lot, like, I bounced. He's like, they gave me all this money. They want to give me all this money. So I left because he didn't want to play that game.
Yeah, and he wouldn't wear a dress. You've heard the
And
dress
he wouldn't
story.
wear the dress. And he was like, that's played
What?
out. I don't want to wear the dress.
They kept wanting to put Chappelle in a dress, so he kept.
They always want to put people in dresses,
Especially
And he
black
said
masculine men.
Masculine black men. They
Any
wanna put in
masculine
dress.
man, though, they're going to want to put in a dress.
Well, they do it. They did it.
The
to
Rock.
They did The Rock. They did it to everybody.
because they want to.
It's a
They want to tone it
It's
down.
like a humiliation tactic.
Right.
Like, we're
it's
going
an Illuminati humiliation tactic that they get him in a dress on camera forever.
Well,
Then they
Chappelle. So they're doing this skit on SNL, and they're like, "Oh, we've got this great skit where you're gonna come in, you're gonna wear a dress, and you're gonna be like this." He's like, that shit's played out. That's been done 1,000 times. We're like, oh, we know, but it always works. And he's like, "Nah, I'm not doing that. This is like the show's about to go on, right?"
And then they got really nasty about
they
it.
had like the producers come in. They're like, "You really need to do this sketch." He's
Yeah.
like, "I'm not doing it. I'm not wearing a dress." Like, he's like, "I'm funny without a dress. I'm just not wearing
It's
a
been
dress."
done. It's played out.
So this was in his last appearance.
No. This was years
before
ago.
he went-
Years
before
ago.
he went crazy, which he was never
Which
crazy.
he never went
crazy.
crazy.
And
He
they were
just
trying to
left.
get they were trying to get him on psychotic medication.
Yep.
He didn't need psychotic medication. They're telling him, "Oh, you're crazy. You need psychotic medication." Kanye, that they tried to get him on psychotic medication.
Kanye is crazy.
Kanye is crazy.
Well, they made him crazy.
They made him crazy with
Kanye is
psychotic
also.
medication, right?
We
Maybe
also have to
so, yeah.
remember that Kanye, like, I'm going to go ahead and do the purport thing where the Illuminati told us he's a genius, but he is a genius. Like his musical genius from like graduation. Oh my God, that's just so amazing.
Well, the dude's a billionaire too, so he's.
I still love. You've heard the story? Have you ever heard?
But but before all that, when he's putting these beats together and doing all this stuff, dude, that music is incredibly awesome.
Have you ever heard? Have you heard the Chappelle talking about when he first met Kanye before Kanye was anybody?
No.
He's like, so nobody knows this motherfucker. Nobody knows who he is, but somehow Kanye ends up at like a record, like where we're doing my show. He's an up and coming producer, but nobody knows who Ye is yet, right?
Oh, I've heard this.
Yeah, so he's like, so he's talking. He's like, yeah, he's like, but he goes, I knew he was somebody that day. He's like, he's just walking around like he owns it, like he's supposed to be there, right? He's like a 22-year-old kid. We're doing the film, but he is acting like, yeah, I belong here and I'm supposed to be. He said, well, all of a sudden his phone rings, and he answers. He's like, hello. He's like, nah, I can't. I'm at the Chappelle show doing a taping because my life is dope and I do dope shit.
That's right. I love that. And I love that because I used to say that all the time because that was on the Chappelle show because he told that story. Because I always tell people I was like, my life's dope and I do dope shit.
That is a great byline for your life.
Oh,
That should be your epitaph.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was going to be what duck.
What duck?
What duck?
What duck?
But now I think my life was dope and I did dope shit.
My life is dope and I do dope shit. And this is before he was really doing dope shit.
Before
but
he was doing
he just had this confidence that like, yep, I'm supposed to be here. I'm the most important person in this room. I should be here. They need my opinion on this comedy sketch.
Well, that's how you get places. A clipboard and an upright, purposeful stride will get you in so many places.
Oh yeah, for sure, no doubt about it.
Yes.
Well, have you guys seen the guys that do the YouTube videos with the ladder experiment?
No.
So there's a guy who came up with a theory, and his theory was I can go anywhere in the world with a ladder and a purpose. And he started filming this, and he's batting 1,000 so far. He's yet to be stopped.
Are you serious? This is on TikTok?
It's on YouTube. He'll show him and his buddy. They're just two middle-aged guys in their 30s. They just show up with a ladder. They'll show up to like Tiger Stadium or wherever. Just name the place. They'll show up to Madison Square Garden and
they're hacking the Matrix.
And whoever's playing, they walk to the door. They're like, we're here to check the light bulbs on the stage, and they just and they're like, oh yeah, go ahead, and they go on in, and they watch the concert. Then the next day they'll show up to like an LSU game with the ladder, and they'll walk in like the players' entrance. They'll be like, we're here to check on the locker room. They're like, yeah, we've been waiting on you guys. and sometimes the people to act like they know what's going on, like if it's a management personnel or something, and they don't want to act like they don't know, they'll be like, oh, yeah, we've been expecting you guys.
Yeah.
And they just...
Where have you guys been?
Well, the one that you don't want to do is stop them, and they were supposed to be there, and something screws up.
Well, look,
everybody's scared of getting in trouble.
Look, they go to courtrooms, sporting events, concerts, VIP access, backstage to the Oscars. They do.
That's awesome.
They went to like
batting 1,000.
They went to like an award show, like the Grammys or something, like to the red carpet. They're like, oh, we're here to change out the carpet. They're like, oh, of course,
of course,
because the guy's there. He's like, he's like, think about it. If they're having the Met Gala and you show up with a ladder in the middle of it, they're like, of course this is legitimate.
No, it's an emergency.
It's
an emergency.
Ladder.
Something is going down right now.
His theory is that you can get anywhere with a ladder and a positive attitude. Like he just goes on this.
Well,
he's hacking the system.
Yeah,
that's a straight hack, dude. That's a straight.
But
hack.
he's put it out online, and now millions of people have seen it. But still, he still gets away with it.
Oh, that's great. I think that's really
it's like
really smart.
Who was it? Justin Awad or whoever who asked millennials like super easy questions. It's like, where was the Battle of New Orleans fought? And these kids don't know.
Oh yeah,
and you would think because he's on TikTok, so you would think these same kids see him and they'd be like, nope, I'm not talking to you.
I've always been waiting. I'm like, surely there's got to be some footage of like a kid who's like paid attention in class. Or
I don't think they show those.
Yeah, they must.
But here's the thing. I think they cut those out, and they just want to see the dum-dums.
Because that's what's
they
fun.
do.
That's what's funny
They
is
do.
the dum-dums.
Well,
Yeah,
I
of course
tell
they
you,
do.
well, what that led me to do is I'd seen things where people say, "Well, can you find Korea on a map?"
Yeah.
And
So
like,
I have all
what
these
about,
strong opinions about Korea. Yeah.
or what about Africa? So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to learn every country in Africa just in case somebody ever
Just
comes
in
to me like,
case.
can you name a country in Africa? I'm like, well, there are like 53, so I can probably do 45.
That's what I like. I like to have like a. I don't really maybe know a lot about anything. I maybe know a lot about 3 or 4 subjects, but the rest of the subjects I like to have at least a general working knowledge of things. So
So you can talk.
There's a fear
I don't know
that
shit
something
about
like,
shit, but I know a lot of shit about a lot of nothing.
at least a little bit about, and then
I know a little bit about something. I can always talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I've always been able to hang out with anybody and talk about. Like I know a little bit about guns. I know a little bit about like I know a lot about trucking. I know a lot about music.
a lot about trucking, a lot about music.
Yeah, and just like every little thing. Like I know a little bit about comic books, a little bit about movie making.
All you have to
I've
do
been
is-
in a couple of movies. I know a little bit about that.
You got to be
I
able
just-
to pick out the BS so that you sound legit. You
Right.
don't have to know a lot. You just have to know enough to fake your way through.
You know what I really
And know
like?
enough when something something doesn't square with what somebody's saying.
What
Like,
you don't want to do is like toe up with like a professor of like geopolitics,
and you start espousing
and
your
you're-
opinion. That's what
well,
time to learn.
I've done this once. Okay, I've done this at a couple of parties. I'm like,
That's a good time to learn.
This is a music thing, so it's like I've done this at like parties with music people that I didn't know they were music people. Mm-hmm. Like I would go to these parties in like Athens, Georgia, and I'd be standing by the keg drinking, and this guy would come up and I'd be talking to him at the keg and be pumping the keg, and I'd be like, "Yeah, man, I just started playing the drums. I really fucking love them. It's like I've been playing it for like a year now." This was like a long time ago. This was like in 2000 and something. And I was like, "Yeah, that's really, like I really love how like the blah blah blah." And just like, "Yeah, man, so blah blah blah." And like I like walk off and go back to the people I came to the party with, and they're like, "You know who you're talking to?" And I was like, "No, who was that?" And they're like, "It was the drummer for Counting Crows." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh no! How did I start talking about drumming with the drummer for Counting Crows?"
And he's just looking at you like,
oh
my God.
could you hand me the tap so I can get a beer, you
Yeah.
idiot? It's like that always happens to me.
that makes for a good story though.
Yeah, I have a couple of stories like that because I would always end up in like Athens at like these parties with these people that I knew that worked for REM. Like all these people, and like I
Name
would be
dropper.
I'm not name dropping. I'm just telling you why I'm there. I'm not a bullshitter. So and it would just be like I'd be talking to people and I wouldn't know who it was, and they loved setting me up to like run my mouth.
Oh yeah, let him go.
Let him just
wind
keep
up,
running.
Let him go.
And then I would like walk back and they're like, "You're quite the social butterfly, aren't you? What you just tell you know
Yeah.
I know everything." And like I'm in my
I'm working
20s.
on my fills right now.
Yeah. Like I'm in my 20s, so it's like I'm just spouting off at the mouth like I know everything.
Yeah.
And I'm amongst a bunch of people that are just like tried and true
Truly experts.
musician
Yeah, truly experts.
And I'm just
Right.
talking shit. And they're like, "Oh, you're quite social butterfly."
Did speaking of musicians, did y'all see the Clay Walker and his Clay Walker, the country singer? Y'all know who that is?
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
He's a country singer. Been around
I've
since
seen Jesus.
Been around since the '90s. His songs are not great. You wouldn't like them. I don't like them. But anyway, he got in this. It's all over the internet. You can't escape anything now. It's going to get online. So he's on his bus. He gets on his bus, just starts ripping his fucking bus driver. And so somebody breaks out a camera.
About what?
Oh, he's like, "You need to call your fucking boss and get me a real driver." He's like, "I'm fixing to go back here. You're going to fucking drive me straight and true. You fucking got me because you don't want any of me cut."
Why? What happened?
Well, oh yeah. I have to. Oh yeah, he was like, "You were supposed to fucking be here at 10 o'clock to pick me up. And were you here? No, you fucking weren't. So call your boss and get me somebody that knows how to drive, because that ain't you." And he goes, "And by the way," this was the best part. He just starts railing at him like a drunk dad, like really super pissed at this poor driver, just fucking belittling. And then so when he runs out of shit to yell at him about how he'll kick his ass, how he's supposed to be late, when he ran out of shit, and they're not recording him, they're just recording the audio because they've got the camera down here. They don't want to get caught, I guess, in this tense situation.
Kicked out. Yeah.
So when he gets done railing him on that, he goes, and by the way, my shit in the back is still dirty. If you wanted to be a fucking part of this team, you would have made sure we had clean clothes, clean sheets. And everybody's like, so now the bus driver's supposed to be cleaning this dude's shit?
Bus driver's not supposed to do any of that.
No. But he's,
the bus driver,
he's
like
yelling
on,
at him for not having his laundry done. While his
how many years has this guy been in the business?
Clay Walker,
Yeah,
32, probably 33, 35 probably.
Really?
35 years.
And he's doing that.
First hit was probably 91.
Are you serious?
It was unbelievable. I was
Your
listening.
first bus driver on tour of a tour that you go on is your go-to guy to
it's your dude.
make sure that he gets you to places, and he knows a lot about the business. Like the bus driver is the guy that does all the shit for you. He doesn't clean your fucking bed sheets. He makes sure that you're in the right spot at the right time. Like your bus driver on your first tour is really an important person.
Right.
Oh.
Well, I'm amazed because, I unfortunately, I Facebook a lot, and you see these articles like, you will not believe what a douchebag these celebrities are. And you see, the demands that, say Tom Cruise or what's her name from Twilight or all these other people have, on their everyday life, and how they've gotten to such a level of fame and whatever.
Entitlement.
They expect, fresh linens on the bed every day. Nobody in the house can make direct eye contact with me.
Oh, I've been on tours where they told us to not make direct eye contact with people.
Was that Godsmack?
Yeah.
Was it Sully from Godsmack? Yeah. Did I guess it right?
Yeah, you did.
He's such a
How
tool.
did you guess that?
Because he's such a fucking tool. Because
They told us all that.
I've known.
They told us that. They said don't make eye contact with.
I've been around
Why?
How did you guess that?
Well, I used to be a moderator for when Ozfest was a tour. I was a moderator for the website. So there's only 4 of us in the world that were moderators, and this was 2 million people were on that website. So I would get all this inside stuff going on the tour and shit like this, and I would also get to interview a lot of bands, and I got to write Ozzy's bio, so I got to do some fun stuff when I was a moderator for that. But I would hear that over and over again because Godsmack was on the tour. So now, obviously, he didn't say that to Ozzy or something, but to the other bands, he wouldn't say it to Ozzy or Pantera or Megadeth or Tool. But if it was
You're
a
little opening band like we were, it's like.
Yeah, don't make eye contact with Sully. Get the fuck out of here, Sully. I would have.
First of all, to make eye contact with Sully,
I'd have to get on my knees.
You'd have to look down.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but that's fine.
Sully from Godsmack, the lead singer of Godsmack. You'd have to look down, real down to make eye contact with him.
And I've been trying to raise you up.
This is him.
This is him.
Don't say a fucking word.
It's
I
great.
can whip your ass with one hand tied behind my. Tell you something. I can whip your ass with one hand tied behind my back. Don't say a fucking word. Nope. Tomorrow, call your fucking boss and get me an experienced fucking driver out here because you are not that. And I've been trying to raise you up last night.
Right.
And you're telling me I'm eating into your fucking drive time, motherfucker? You told me you'd be here at 10 fucking p.m. You were not here, you lying. So when I come out of that bathroom, get your ass ready to drive and drive me smooth, motherfucker. Or you're gonna regret it.
Here comes the laundry.
All my shit is still fucking dirty back here. You know what? If you really wanted to fucking try and be part of this organization, you'd have found a fucking washing machine. You told him you cleaned this bus to 4.
All right, you just make that clear. That was not Sully. That was Clay
That was
Walker.
not Sully. That was Clay Walker, folks. Country music star Clay Walker.
Megastar.
Yeah, megastar. And he's
my
definitely
God.
at the thing that's really wild about it. He's about the level of a Sully. He was never an A-lister, never a megastar.
right.
At his height, he was he's a couple million seller, and he still could he probably plays 2,000, 3,000 seaters, but certainly. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the Prince of Egypt. I'd have left his ass. There's no way my pride wouldn't let me. I'd have got off that bus and walked, or I'd have called an Uber. That'd have been my last. I couldn't take that.
It depends on what level you are in the game. Can you take the shit?
I could not take that shit. I'm telling you, me personally, it wouldn't matter what level I was. There's no possible chance I could take that from any human being. We're gonna have to fight, or I'm gonna have to leave. One of the two, but You're not getting away with that.
I wouldn't let anybody talk to me like that.
No way.
I'm
at least gonna have to
I
check.
don't care who it is.
Now I may be like, damn, this is a really high paying job. I really like this job, and everybody else is cool. I would be like, hey, motherfucker, you're not fixing to
I
do
just
that.
been like, clean your sheets. That's not what I do, dick face.
Well, then he would be like, you don't fucking drive because you're supposed to be here at 10, motherfucker.
Hey, drive yourself then.
That's exactly. Yeah.
Drive your fucking self. Dude, what the fuck? That's some fucked up shit.
It's wilder when you hear it live than when you hear me telling the story. It's like, oh, that sounds inappropriate. But when you hear him actually do it, you're like, damn, that dude.
Well, the best part is that the bus driver had been doing recording that. It's like, here he comes. I'm up.
Yeah, I
my
don't know
phone.
because all you get's the audio, So
Right. So he has his phone in his pocket or something, and he's, it's like.
Clay's come out and he's issued a statement today. Now that happened last night on the tour, and then he came out this morning and issued a statement like, some things got out, but me and the driver have always been good friends. He's a good friend of mine. We've patched everything up. We're moving forward like we hope everybody else can. Like whatever.
Which is code for I wrote him a big check.
So did you, when you played with Sully, did you look him in the eyes? I would have had him once, or did you?
I didn't
get to
even see him.
But
we
did you get that in your rider?
We played, and then I just went and did my own thing. I didn't even watch them play. I just got to do whatever I wanted. I wasn't hanging out waiting to meet Sully.
Right. Yeah. Who is?
I wasn't hanging out waiting to meet Sully, but they made a big deal about it.
Who was like the promoters?
The other bands that we opened up for, were super cool band, Stained, right? Mike Mashak, guitar player.
Yep.
We had like a little. I remember when Stained back in the day was playing like Alice in Chains covers,
and they're
touring
when they were playing metal like Mud Shovel
before they were doing Mud Shovel.
Before
right?
Mud Shovel.
Yeah,
Mud Shovel.
They got that they got famous, but like before that they were doing like Alice in Chains covers.
Yeah. Well, so it was Godsmack. Godsmack is a
yeah.
Alice in
Well,
Chains cover band.
We had an old card of them that had all their numbers on it, like Mike Mashak. I mean, like we were opening up for him one night, and we called the number and it was
it like
Mike's,
a dating hotline?
And no, it was like Mike's parents' house.
Oh wow!
And we talked to his mother. And she was like, "Oh, you're playing with Mike tonight? That's great. Tell him I said hi."
That is awesome, though.
And super awkward.
Well, I told her, I said, "Dude, we called like check out this card we have from when we met you like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago." I was like, I called.
Oh, so you are playing with him again or something?
Yeah. And I said, we called to talk to your mom. She says hi.
He had to get a good laugh out of that.
Oh, he loved it. He thought it was hilarious. He was like, "Oh man, that's awesome."
Yeah,
that's so great.
That is pretty awesome.
But so it was pretty cool.
Sounds like his mom was a sweetheart.
Oh, totally.
This is before.
She's like, "Say hi to Mikey for me," and I was like, "Well, my name's Mikey too."
How was Aaron
Lewis? She was
Lewis?
like, "Oh, it's such a good name."
How was Aaron Lewis? Was he okay?
I didn't talk to him.
Was this before?
No, Aaron Lewis.
Before he became a far right.
He doesn't hang out.
Flag waving.
Aaron Lewis doesn't hang out.
He's such
the lead
he's such a
singers
goober now.
The lead singers don't hang out. By the way.
Oh, I know.
They don't hang out.
Very few.
Even our lead singer, he don't hang out.
Yeah.
He doesn't hang out. Well, not now, but back then, he doesn't hang out. So, like, it's like, in passing, if you're, and everybody's doing their own thing. Like, if you're gonna play a show and you're like an opener, like we were like nobodies, were nobodies, and you're playing a show, so you kind of like hang around to see, kind of like who you can see, but you don't want to like be a nerd and like talk to anybody. But, like, most people, we play with, like, a lot of people. Most people are like, "Oh, dude, come in. Hey, come in. Y'all are open. Yeah, come in here. Drink the beer.
Yeah, most people are
have
cool.
Fun. And they're cool." But there's no lead singer around.
Yeah.
They're not cool.
So, yeah, the two times I've had, like, total VIP access to everything and been back, like, I'm eating their buffets. I'm sitting in their chairs. I'm hanging out with everybody backstage. You're right. Now that I think about it, all the bands would be around, and there wasn't a lot of, the singers don't. They must have lead singer's disease. They can't.
Well, I will tell you this about a lead singer. When you're the lead singer, there's a lot of pressure on you. And your son's the lead singer of Morning Moon.
Yep.
There's a lot of pressure on you as a lead singer, and you have to remember that everybody in the band wants to be the lead singer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
The drummer wants to be the guitarist. The bass player wants to be the guitarist. The guitarist wants to be the lead singer. This is how it works. And the lead singer doesn't want to be there. but it's all he can do.
Yeah, it's
So that's the way I always explained it. And the drummer wants to be a guitarist.
yeah.
So you've got all these
Drummers
people.
are always wild,
They
though. They're
always
always
want to
wild
be.
and fun.
They always want to be somebody else in the band. So like then you've got the lead singer is the head of the band. He has all this thing.
But
where
sometimes
it's
they're
like,
not geared to be the head of anything. They're not like
But
a head.
well, let's just talk about, let's say like a Scott Weiland.
yeah.
Scott Weiland's not going to hang out
Oh no.
before the show.
Or an Axl Rose.
Or an Axl Rose or a Maynard from Tool. They're like getting in a zone because all the energy of everything is on them. It doesn't matter how good your drummer is, Danny Carey, the best drummer in the world, or like if you're Dave Matthews and you got Carter Beauford drumming for you, one of the second best drummers in the world. The lead singer takes all of that bullshit and
It's on
he has
him.
to take it and put it out there and be the man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is.
So once you get to a certain point in your career where you have the it factor of like all that energy flows into you and you push it back out to everybody else, you just kind of become a dick about it. And I've always recognized it because I've always been just a guitarist. And I've always recognized the fact that, like, I'm over here hiding behind a guitar. They're out front, like,
Oh, yeah.
singing
All right, so
their heart out.
So that energy they're pushing out, does that go out to the crowd only, or does that affect everybody
That affects
else on
everything.
stage?
I think
because when you mentioned Axl Rose being, I thought, well, Slash is a huge presence on
Of
on
course,
stage.
he is, but there ain't no Slash without Axl and Guns N'
Yeah,
Roses.
you're right. I mean,
I'll tell you
That's well, you know what I think. Because of the persona he put out with the hair and the hat and all that other stuff, he
That-
could have been Slash.
You
with
have to remember
somebody else.
that
well, when
also
he did everything he did with Guns N' Roses, though, when he did stuff with Scott, because he did stuff with Scott Weiland, but it still wouldn't have been Velvet Revolver. It wasn't the same, and
It was
that
great.
Was a
It was
huge
great. It was
album.
great.
So
oh, it was and
huge
then,
albums, and they were
and
great.
He did Slash's Snake Pit, which was him at the front, and that almost did nothing.
That did nothing.
well, nobody
Here's the
wants
thing.
to hear Slash.
There's a weird.
Yeah.
They want to see Slash.
Yeah, that's it,
Exactly.
that's it. You wanna-
Exactly. That's the thing. There's a weird thing. Page and Plant, Axl and Slash,
Ozzy and Iommi.
Ozzy and Iommi. There's like these. You got these two guys.
One part can't. It's got to have.
All right.
There's these, and I've always had this thing, and I'll let you. I'll
Okay,
let you
all right,
say
all
what
right,
you're gonna say after
all
I
right.
say this. The lead singer has some kind of power over people, but then if you have this amazing guitarist like Slash or whatever, he also has this power. And when those over certain people, and when those two things happen, like you have like this amazing
You have magic. Oh,
you have
for
like
sure.
amazing magic.
All right.
Go
What I
ahead.
want to say is, I cannot believe I am keeping up in a musical conversation with the two of you.
Well,
I
that's-
cannot. Because I don't even listen to lyrics really. I just listen to the rhythm of the lyrics.
You're like it's just a background
It's,
thing.
it's,
for
it's a
you,
background
really?
thing, and either I like it or I don't.
Yeah, but you're not really a digester of it.
Oh,
or a
I
breakdown, yeah.
I don't try to break down lyrics and what they mean. I just I can go along and I can say, because I still listen to the like 80s stations. That's my jam.
Yeah,
is-
because that's when you recognize music as being music, because that's when you were a teenager, probably.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's just
it
how
was.
people are.
It was, and I like the corny 80s stuff. Not the
I like Corny's 80s stuff too.
oh safety
Like
dance.
what?
It's one of my
Safety Dance.
Oh yeah.
Or like take on me. I like Q101 stuff.
I don't really like.
Q101.
I can't say that
I like
like
that
any
stuff.
of that unironically. if
Well,
that-
you
like,
you
I don't
you're-
like Safety Dance.
You've
unironically.
always been a metalhead.
But I like.
Always been. You know
No,
what's
but
funny?
I
is-
that's, but I like. I mean, I like country. I like pop. I like outlaw country. I like pop. When I say pop, like maybe Michael Jackson, Prince. It's got to be really good. Pop.
Do you have like a thing where you think that like if you listen to that you don't feel like a man as much as a man, or
No, I
is
just have.
that
I have
it, or what
I
is
just have a
it?
thing where I just don't think it's good.
It's not
no,
good.
well, I
Not
had
good.
The, I had the
I'll tell you
same thing.
something.
There's a lot of music
today
that
I
don't
was
like.
working over in my house today, like doing
Like Safety
setup
Dance just
and
is fun, but it's just like it's not good.
It's not good, but
no,
it's
no,
fun to
it's
listen
not
to.
good, but it is a crap load of fun.
Yeah, it's-
I mean,
remember,
like,
like,
you
remember
hear
when
the
I
song
said-
and you're like,
Or
I can
Devo,
dance.
like
I can dance.
they can dance if you want
Yeah.
to. Like Devo, like Whip It, like it's just not like I
No.
get it, but like I get it if I was like 8. Like
Whip it good.
No, it is not meaningful or anything like that.
Flock
It's
of
just,
seagulls.
I think it's meant to be stupid anyway.
It's meant to be stupid. It's meant to be fun, and it is
Meant to be
fun.
fun.
Well, that's why I said I can enjoy it. I said I can't enjoy it unironically.
You know what I was
I only
enjoying
enjoy
today?
it ironically. Does that make sense? Like,
No, well, see that gives it really a sour connotation. That it's like I only I like bad movies because they're bad.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that
Like
that
Rocky
music
Horror
is
Picture
not
Show.
bad.
like Rocky Horror Picture Show,
Yeah.
I enjoy for.
I've made it 40
it's-
minutes into that every time, and then for some reason I can't
Well,
watch the
it's
rest
so
of it.
bad, it's interesting. That's,
well,
that's
here-
the same thing as like safety dance. Like safety dance. I'm not saying I don't go safety dance.
Do the safety
I'm not saying I
dance.
don't do that, but it's
Yeah, well, like you talk about movies. Like my favorite bad movie is Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
oh yeah, that's a great
it's
one.
a great bad.
It's a
movie.
great bad movie.
It's a great bad movie. And Safety Dance, it could be a great bad song.
But when you're enjoying Killer Clowns from Outer Space, you're enjoying it almost ironically, right? In the same
Oh
way.
yeah, well,
that's what I'm
but
saying.
you know,
Right.
there are some like genius moves in that movie where they're using the sheriff as a puppet.
Yeah.
And they're talking, and then he like flips over, and then the clown like pulls his hands out, and you see that he was a ventriloquist dummy the whole time, or the shadow Tyrannosaurus Rex who eats people. That movie is genius. It is
Yeah.
so good.
It's like the I mean, some of the stuff from like some of the corny stuff from like the 80s, it's not that I just don't think it's good from like a quality standpoint, but I still enjoy it if that makes sense. Like the Go-Go's, like I don't think the Go-Go's are good, but like if what's their song comes on?
Vacation?
Vacation, all I ever wanted. Vacation.
Oh yeah, I'll absolutely just like
I mean-
go down and
I will be riding in the car and like on a trip, and I will put all those 80s songs on there just to like make the trip not so shitty driving down the interstate.
See, like my 80s that I thought was bad, but I listened to more would have been like hair metal, right? Like I never thought it was good even then, but I still listened to it because
The
it was
guitars
be-
were good.
I thought it was better. Well, when I say hair metal, I'm talking about the stupid Winger, Warrant,
Oh, Winger.
Dokken, like
The C bands. The
Yeah,
C bands.
Rat.
Rat.
Well, Rat
I
had some
consider
pretty
it-
good.
They had
Rat-
one song. They had one.
No,
One song?
No, Rat
One
had
song?
more than one.
Rat?
had one song John heard.
What are you
Yeah,
talking
well,
about?
that's
no,
probably
it's
true,
not. I don't
too.
think that's true. You never heard "Lay It Down"?
I don't know if I have.
Lay it
No,
down.
see, he's heard one
Lay
song.
it
Oh, yeah.
down.
See,
you know, "Lay It Down."
John's heard.
Rat had about
John has
7.
heard round and round.
That's
What
the one.
goes around comes around,
Comes around,
which
goes
is a
around.
badass song.
Well, they have a great
Well,
guitar
I
player.
am.
They have a great guitar player. They had a great. They had great musicianship.
Did
they
I
wrote,
say the
they
wrong
wrote,
names?
but they wrote kind of all that hair metal stuff was kind of goofy, right? It was just kind of goofy.
all
So
goofy.
I didn't enjoy it like I would enjoy Slayer, let's say.
So would all of those? Now you got to realize I grew up without cable.
Uh-huh.
So would all of those bands been like on Headbangers Ball on MTV?
Well, the Headbangers Ball. So I saw every episode of the Headbangers Ball. Every episode, that was my Saturday night. I was going to watch the Headbangers Ball no matter what. Even if I went out, I was coming home and watch it. Like coming home early to watch it.
Yeah, I'll take a break from hitting golf balls at houses.
Yeah, so they
Go
would.
watch it.
So there was pushback from like Ricky Rackman. So Ricky Rackman, the host, he never wanted to play like Warrant and Trickster and Winger, but the producers were making him, right. So So when you're watching Headbangers Ball, you would see Rat and Warrant, and then you might see Nuclear Assault and Death Angel and Slayer because he's playing the stuff he wanted to play, but the producers didn't really want to play that because that's obviously not selling like the W bands
Well, I mean, you got to do the stuff you don't like, so you can do the stuff you
do like. So that some of the hair metal, there's a couple of bands that aren't hair metal that people think are hair metal, which I think are really good, like Guns N' Roses is not hair metal. It's never been hair metal.
Guns N' Roses is their own thing.
They're their own thing. They're rock. They're American
It's
badass.
like Soundgarden was their own thing.
Yep, they're American badass rock and roll. Skid Row gets lumped into hair metal, but they're really not to me. They did happen to have hair, but the songs were just better than that. The songs and the composition were better. I don't really like songs about. It was like the R&B discussion you and I were having. I don't really like songs about just meaningless like sex or drive-in movies or like fucking in the back seat. Shit's just stupid. It's stupid as hell.
We were doing the readings, the lyrical readings.
Oh, that was great.
It's pretty bad.
Because we got in a discussion. Did you see that episode? So he was about.
I've seen them all.
He was like,
John's seen them
He was
all.
like, the R&B is so good, and I was like, it's really not, And he's like, oh yeah, and I was like, pull up some lyrics. Let's just go through it. I was like, I don't know. And I was like, we'll just pull up random lyrics from an R&B song and then random lyrics from like a good band, and we'll compare the composition. It was so ridiculous
So
when
bad.
when you read it out loud. It's like
So bad.
It's like, come on, girl. Ooh, ooh, to the room.
Ooh, baby.
to the floor.
Baby.
Yeah. I like
Light
it like
some
that.
Candles. Lighting some candles are gonna get you in the mood. We're gonna do it.
And hair
We're
metal
gonna
was
do it slow.
Yeah, but all that was targeted at kids who were like going through all that stuff, and to not to necessarily entice but to like spark that whatever in them. And
Of course, but it's just from a it's just hard to take serious.
Well, it is because we're old men.
But even when I was a kid, but I could live. But the reason I like some of those bands because I could be like, well, god dang, I mean, the music's phenomenal. Like you can't get past it. Now, like Motley Crue's a different thing to me because like they had different subject matter. Most of it was sex, but sometimes it would be drugs, or sometimes it'd be jail, or sometimes it'd be murder. They'd write a murder ballad, right? Like,
They wrote a murder ballad.
oh yeah, You're All I Need. You remember You're All I Need? You're all
Probably.
I need. Well, it sounds like just a song you'd slow dance to. What it's about is he comes home, his girlfriend's cheated on him, so he kills her, so he ends up on the news. So like that's like a different way to approach a song. Like if somebody's gonna
Well, see, like murder ballad's like I used to love her. That's a
Great murder ballad.
That's a murder ballad.
and so Motley Crue could go a little, and that's why Motley Crue obviously stood the test of time more than a lot of those other bands, right? Because a lot of those other, but they had, I mean. If you're wearing matching out, first of all, if my guitar player came to me, let's say I'm the bass player, and they came to me and they said, "Hey, we're going to wear matching outfits, and I've got our choreography for the show," I would immediately pack all my shit up and leave. Like there's no
Yeah,
we obviously signed up for two different things here,
This is
fella.
not the 1960s, guys.
But that was all the that's what
Well,
they did.
how much money are we talking about?
Have to be a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
Probably not that much because you know how the music industry is.
Right. How
It
much
looks
money are we talking
it
about?
looks like a lot. Hey, we're going to give you an advance. Your advance is going to be
No, you gotta pay all that back.
$750,000. That's what artists don't know.
You gotta
An
pay all that
advance
back.
is recoupable funds. So you don't have $750,000.
I signed a deal that was non-recoupable for a bonus. So
A part of it was non-recoupable.
Part of it,
Like
the
a-
signing
a-
bonus was non-recoupable.
Like a 5 to 7% of it will be non-recoupable
Yeah.
sometimes if they really want to act like they wanted y'all.
Yeah. Well, we had two people. It was Maverick and Warner Brothers. And they gave us a signing
Was
bonus.
y'all in a bidding
My
war?
signing bonus, their signing bonus was non-recoupable.
Those are great. And sometimes you're thinking if you're getting, those bands, they might have got $1 million back then, but they owe.
Well, the problem
you now
with the-
owe the record label
Well,
$1 million.
the problem-
You don't have $1 million. You owe them $1 million.
Listen to this. The non-recoupable was like, hey, we want you guys for the next year to do what we tell you to do. Here's some money so you don't have to have jobs.
Well, yeah.
Don't go spend this money on dumb shit.
If I owned a record,
Just
and you
use-
immediately go spend that money on dumb stuff.
Well, some of us did, but like it was like take this money. This is your money for the next year.
You can live on
to
this.
just do this.
So
and
you can-
food, drinking, and doing whatever you want.
So you can write music. They want you to write music.
Screw
and-
that,
and
I'm on
do
a
the same.
chimpanzee.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm gonna go straight to the Porsche dealership and buy me a Porsche, and then have to like bum money off of people in town to put gas in it.
Some people do that. Some
A
people
lot
do
of
that.
people
If
do
I
that.
owned a record company, I'd do the same thing. Though I would
It's
tell.
so stupid too, because like when you're young, when you're 21, like I was, it was like, here's this money. And when you're 21 and you think your balls deep into like you're gonna be the next,
Oh, yeah, you're gonna be the next-
you're gonna be the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, here's this money. I guess I'm just gonna like be a rock star now. And what it was is like, here's
Plus, you
money.
get a big lump sum of money. That's
A big lump sum, and it's like, no, you need to take this money and you need to like live off of it and work on your music for the next year and be like an adult.
Well,
And
that's
that's hard to do when you're
that-
21.
That's like the Guns N' Roses in their book. They're talking about when they got their non-recoupable part of their bonus. They're talking. Duff in his book writes about like he's like, we were so stupid in it. He's like, we never had any money, right? He's like, we never had any money. All of a sudden they gave you money. He's like, we didn't even know what to do with money because we never had money. He said, so I was literally walked around with $15,000 stuffed in my boots for like 6
Oh, my
months.
God.
He's like, I just
I
cashed it all out of the bank and I stuffed it in my boots.
I wasn't like that, but we lived on people's couches for a year, and I just kept living like that.
Yeah.
That you live on, You go, you play a show. People are like, "Hey, come back to the house and party with us." So you just crash there, and then you just extend that out a couple of days, and then you just live there. And there's like I got to go to band practice. You just, basically living out of your car.
Well, because
I lived out of a Dodge Dakota.
Yeah,
is what I lived out of.
If you're a record company, you have to look at it from the record company. As an adult, I look at it more. As a young person, I think I used to look at it more from the artist standpoint. As an adult, I think I kind of see the record company's point a little more. I would be like, look. I just fronted you $100,000, right?
Right.
You're going to give me an album December 1st.
Right.
So that's what that money's for, to hold you over and get that album recorded.
Then they fly in the guy. Who's supposed to make that happen. They fly in the guy that's like, y'all are recording right now. We got to finish this song today.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter.
Because artists need that.
But I got to go home and like no. This is going to be done today. If you need whoever you need to call, we're going to be here till 1:00 in the morning because we're going to get these fucking things right.
But we're getting it in the can.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like shit.
Because
shit
if you
like
just
that.
gave artists $100,000
they wouldn't do shit.
And didn't give them parameters that they had to work
they wouldn't
around,
do shit.
They wouldn't do shit.
Well,
So
anybody.
yeah, but especially artists.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Especially musicians who are just bumming around playing shows and don't
then
give
all
a
of a sudden
fuck.
they get 60, 70, 90,
We used to
$50,000 in cash.
you know how we made a lot of money is we just started turning our practices into shows at Michael Mann's bar in Shreveport, and there would be a line out the door of 100 people wanting to get in to see us play, and we were just practicing, and we charged money at the door that we got, and then Michael Mann made all the money off of the booze and everything.
Booze, yeah.
And it was like we would practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Michael Mann's was so packed that there was a line out the door. And we were working through stuff, practicing. And we would play something and make something up. And Sean would sing and Sean would go, "We just made that up." And people were like, "Bullshit. That's bullshit." And we were like, well, I kind of just played like 3 chords the whole time.
That's what.
And then we would sit there and write music, and people would watch. It was a really weird concept because we were practicing at a bar live.
But it makes you better because you're in front of people. You're going to be better in front of people.
Oh yeah, there was a little bit of
there was
a little bit of pressure to be cool.
Yeah.
So like we would be like practicing and writing songs in front of people that were paying to see us do this, and it was a little bit of pressure, so like things were kind of cooler. It was kind of neat.
Yeah, but you got to kind of.
I don't know anybody that's ever done that before. I don't know anybody. I've never heard of any band.
I've never heard the story of anybody doing that.
I've never heard of any band that ever would practice at a bar.
None of those recordings
and write songs
exist
in
though
front
because
of people.
nobody had a
cell phone.
Nobody had cell phone.
This was 1998, 1999. No, 1999. 2000. Nobody
People had
cell
cell
phones.
phones. Nobody had a video.
The Nokia brick.
There's like one video.
Snake and
There's
that-
like one video of a guy who was technologically advanced in 2000 that brought a laptop and hooked a camera up to his laptop and like filmed us like this, and it looks like shit.
Of course it does.
And it's just like it's like a pen. It looks like a pen.
Yeah.
That he was recording with, and he was just like all over. Everybody's like jumping
Well,
around.
now I mean, people
It's
now
all over.
if you post a video that's recorded on like an iPhone 11, people are like, ugh.
Ugh.
So if you put something like that online now, people are like, what is this?
What
like,
is this crap?
Recorded on a potato? What is this shit?
But I've never heard of anybody.
I've
that
actually
ever
never have either. And like
did like we would practice at a bar, and then years later, this is a funny thing. Years later, I'm talking like 10 years later. I went to I came into Shreveport for Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
And I went into Michael Mann's, and I sat down and I was drinking, and I was like, "Hey man, yeah, we used to play here all the time, blah blah blah." And he's like, "What band were you in?" I said, 1000 Watt Bitch, and he goes, "Holy shit!" He goes, "You paid for our bar." He's like, "You paid like we made so much money off y'all that we paid cash for this bar and paid it off." And we bought another restaurant that we have a steak restaurant across town. He said, "You're not gonna." He said, "Look, you're not gonna pay for anything here." He said, "You can come here and drink for free." He said, "Call. Here's my number."
Oh, that's cool. This was like
Call
20 years
me.
later or what?
Yeah. No, this is like it's like 12 years later.
12 years later. What? So yeah.
He said, "You can eat for free." He said, "You can go over there tonight." He said, "Call me. Here's my number." you can.
You didn't
eat
take
for
him up on
free.
that, though, 'cause
No, I
you-
never took up on any of it.
You didn't even. You got the free drinks though, because
I got the free drinks that day.
Yeah, because he wouldn't let you.
But he was like, just anytime you're here, just call me, eat for free, whatever. He's like, you paid for this bar. He's like, we paid this bar off because of y'all.
Y'all could have had a good run nowadays with TikTok and everything.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know. It would have been awesome. Like we just have the
What's
technology.
up? Well, the field's a lot more crowded than it used to be, but it's still
Little bit.
you still could have.
Well, I'm just telling you. They got. I mean, Sean that we had.
I know Sean.
He had the deal.
He has it.
He has the it.
Yeah.
I could have like obviously I could have played anything, and when Sean sang over it, it was amazing. Like I wrote a song where I played one chord for like 4 minutes, and he sang over it, and it was amazing. So like it's like, you know,
having a singer like that's a pretty big help. Yeah.
it's a pretty big help.
Yeah.
I love Sean, and like he's just got that thing where he gets out in front of a crowd and he's like, "This is my house tonight," and everybody's like, "Oh, it is your house tonight."
You need to get Sean to record some more music. It's not like y'all are dead.
No, we've been trying. We can't get it together.
Yeah, that's the problem.
can't
It's
get it
hard.
together.
It's got to be hard.
Oh my God. Yeah. Getting people to commit to things.
You
is
know, the
hard.
problem
You
is.
commit to
Let me
anything.
just say.
to do it
Let me,
is
You're lucky I'm here tonight.
Let me tell you something about when you get older with music. You want to do it all yourself because you know you can do it yourself.
and you don't want to split
But
it four ways.
sometimes you don't have the ability to do it all yourself.
I'll just say this about the whole that's the way the whole industry has shifted, and I'm just going to say that there is a magic and a chemistry that comes from a band. I'll die on that hill. I know you can do everything yourself. I know all the technology exists. I know you can drum track things in. You can play you can play the bass and guitar with just a simple bass line. I can run my drum tracks in. I can do this whole thing myself, but there is a magic when the 3 or 4 right people, or even 2 people, are in a room creating together that doesn't exist.
All right. Well,
100%.
Do you think Sting is better off or worse off without the police?
Worse off.
Worse off.
Worse off.
Really?
Worse off.
Who else who's like gone off on their own? Like, I'm not going to count Gwen Stefani because
The only ones that have ever, you look at even like, look at like David Lee Roth and Van Halen. Van Halen's they're like the biggest band in the world. David Lee Roth was barely mid-level. The only people I can think of that went solo and were as big or bigger than a major band they were in is Ozzy, and there's got Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah.
Michael Jackson,
100%.
Ozzy Osbourne.
So,
That came from major bands.
How
and then
about
they did
this?
some solo,
Let
and
me
then
take
they
it
were
back to
even
like the 70s, 80s. Simon and Garfunkel. Simon. Like when he got rid of Garfunkel, he had a huge career after that.
Paul
Michael
Simon, did he?
Yeah,
I mean,
Paul
Simon.
Simon.
And you can call me
Paul Simon.
Al. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Now I won't call it huge, but
I wouldn't call it. It wasn't,
big.
it wasn't Simon and Garfunkel.
Well,
It wasn't
Simon
even-
and Garfunkel,
was
they
not-
had some really crazy.
No, no.
So you can look at it like
there
this.
was never another.
Well,
Mr.
here's the other
Robinson.
thing. Soundgarden, you know,
Let's look up Paul Simon
No,
album sales,
Paul
and then we'll
Simon.
look up Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh no,
But
100. You don't even have to look it up.
I totally enjoyed, you know, like I love Soundgarden, and then when Chris Cornell did his own albums, he had a couple of good songs, but it wasn't Soundgarden.
It's not Sound.
No,
I'm
well,
thi-
he did that Billie Jean cover,
I
right?
think I'm missing
Yeah.
some. I'm
Yeah,
probably
that was
missing,
great.
I'm probably missing some. It's got to be some other than Michael and Ozzy. That can't be the only 2, but it ain't. The list is very small
It's very small.
of big band, and then you go off to do your own thing, and you have the same magic. And the only reason Ozzy got it because he got the same magic. He was so blessed with the musicians he would always put himself around. I'm not saying. I mean, Ozzy's got the it factor, obviously, but he was so blessed with the musicians he would put himself around from the time he was in Sabbath, and then he comes out of Sabbath, and who's his next guitarist? Randy fucking Rhoads. I mean, God
Right.
bless America. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean, he had a pedigree to get those guys,
that's exactly right.
But you know what?
And then Zach Wild after that.
Well,
and
that
then
story that
Jakey
you
Lee.
told,
I
that
think-
story that you told about the guitarist that Ozzy was like, nah, I don't want him to be my guitarist.
Oh yeah, just go see him. And like it's like
Yeah,
the
that was
dude.
Randy. That was Randy Rhoads.
Yeah.
but because the guy. So as it goes, so he comes into L.A. after he gets kicked out of Sabbath, and he's like, hey, in his record company, because they knew how Ozzy was, he was just drunk and he was just going to like drink all the time. So they gave him a list. They were like, here's a list of like the 20 best guitarists in L.A. we want you to go see. So Ozzy goes to the guy who actually. Mark Strummer, I think. Anyway, the guy that been in a band called Slaughter. If you remember Slaughter, from
Yeah, I
the
remember Slaughter.
Dana
Yeah.
Strum. So Dana Strum was in Slaughter. So 10 years before Slaughter, he ends up being Ozzy's guide. Ozzy's like, hey, I'm looking for a guitar player. I've got this list. It's so great to hear. Dana Strum tells the story. It's so great because Ozzy's like, I got this list, and Dana's like, fuck that list. I don't need that list. He's like, I know the guy, and Ozzy's like, no man, look, the record company gave me this list. He's like, I know a guy, Randy Rhoads. That's who you need to go. He goes, you got to take me to, and he's like, Ozzy'd be like, take me to this guy's house, and we'd pull up to the guy's house. He'd be in like the garage, and we'd walk up, and the guy would start playing Jimi Hendrix and singing Purple Haze, and Ozzy's like, stop. He's like, what do you do? He's like, hey mate, I'm the fucking singer. Just play the goddamn guitar. That's all you got to do. He says the guy starts playing. He's like, Purple Haze. Oh. Like, all right, let's get out of here. So he said, so they get in the car. He's like, Ozzy, we don't have to keep doing this. He says this goes on for like 3 weeks. He's like, every day he picks up Dana. He's like, or Dana picks him up.Ozzy couldn't drive. Dana picks him up, and he's like, we don't have, just go see Randy Rhoads. Finally, at the he went through everybody on the list. Dana said he went through every single guitar player on the list. He's like, didn't matter, and he just went in order, just one at a time. And then he ended up with Randy Rhoads, who was like this magical. I'm sure the other guys were because some of those guys were like Don Dokken, George Lynch. Well, you know the band Dokken. You remember?
Yeah, I've heard them. Yeah, but yeah.
Oh yeah, you're not a music guy.
I'm not a music guy. So.
But anyway, there was a lot of great guitarists in there. But he ends up with Randy Rhoads, who is like literally that year the guitar player of the year, becomes this phenom, is widely considered the top 5 guitar players to ever live. That's his second guitarist after Tony Iommi.
Right.
All right, I've got a question because that reminds me of an Eric Clapton story. Who are the top 5 guitar players that ever lived? Because I mean, the story.
I love this conversation. So I love this conversation, John.
Let me give you. Can I just spitball?
Yeah.
I want to tell my story first. So,
go ahead.
So the story is somebody asked Eric Clapton, "How does it feel to be the best guitar player in the world?" He goes, I don't know. Go ask Prince.
I thought he said ask Jeff. Or
no, he said ask Prince.
He said ask Prince. Prince is amazing.
Prince.
I can easily give you. I can give you my top. So I've had this discussion quite a few. Here's what I think. So when you start saying who's the top 5 guitar players of all time, I think there's a list of about 25 dudes that you could say. You could take any of those 25 or 30 people. And you could pick them, and you wouldn't be wrong, and I wouldn't be wrong, and he wouldn't be wrong, because those are all acceptable answers. Now after that, it's pretty odd. Like these are like the kind of there's 25 or 30 that everybody could kind of wildly consider. These are your guys that you have to choose from. So it really kind of comes down to your personal taste.
Some of it, yeah.
And like what you think is fantastic. And for me, the top 5 are. In
Van
order.
Halen? Van Halen?
No.
He didn't make the list?
He did not. Van Halen.
Even though he like created that whole thing?
He didn't create tapping.
Well, he kind of did.
I mean, he was the first to take tapping mainstream, but like, but it does. I'm not saying Van Halen's definitely in the 25. That if anybody puts Sir Eddie Van Halen in their list, they're right. But he's just not in my top 5. I don't think he can. I don't think he's as good and writes as
I hardly care about the top 5 guitarists ever because it's actually just like whatever you like.
But whatever, but that because
if you want to get
no.
If you want to get technical with it, it's like who did what first. Do you have the time to do like the who did what first and how fast is this person? Can this person play this many notes?
I don't think that makes you
better. I don't think that makes you better. Because I'm going to say like
it's like technical. It's like a technical thing. It's also what I'm saying is like a technical thing to a sweet
sphere of influence.
Right.
How many people did what you do? How many people did that impact? Like not just fans, but also other guitar players. What would other guitar players say about your playing? And how did and how memorable are the riffs you wrote? So everybody on my list, I could take to somebody who doesn't know music, doesn't give a shit about music, doesn't listen to music, doesn't follow it. I could play a riff from all 5 of these guys, and you go, I know that song. You go, I know that instantly. And
Let's
and my
do it.
mom
do it real quick.
All right, number 1 is Tony Iommi
because we got a nod like let him.
I have no idea who Tony Iommi is.
Grab your phone and pull up a Tony Iommi riff.
Tony Iommi's the guitar player for Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath.
Okay.
You never listen to Black Sabbath?
No, I've listened to Black. That's
so-
Ozzy's
okay.
band, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony,
okay.
Tony Iommi's the greatest guitar player that's ever lived, in my opinion. He's my number one. He's the king. He's the top Mount Rushmore. He's written every
A guitar player is the best guitar player. It's always going to be like who's the best. Like you could say like Yngwie Malmsteen is like the best. Malmsteen is like the best
you
ever.
could say, well, because he's
technical.
But when I said sphere of influence, how many people they've influenced, memorable. I could even people that don't even think.
Let's get into this.
All right, yeah,
in part
let's finish
two.
the list. I want to hear the
We
list.
have to do a
don't
part
think they're
two of
Sabbath
this.
fans. We can just keep going. Even people that don't think they're Sabbath fans. I could play 20 riffs and they'd be like, I know that one, I know that one, I know. That's how good Iommi is. That's how magical he is, and he influenced the entire world.
Sure.
He influenced every single person who's ever played a hard rock riff in the last 53 years. Stole it from him. He was Frank Zappa's favorite guitar player. Frank Zappa's a genius, right? So Tony Iommi's my number one. Richie Blackmore's my number two. Do you know Richie Blackmore?
I do not know who that is.
But you know his song, I bet you.
Well,
Smoke on the Water?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Deep Purple?
Okay, yep,
Okay.
yep.
You're okay, everybody knows Smoke on the Water. But Smoke on the Water is just a little bit of his catalog, right? But that's just such a memorable riff. Dun, dun, dun,
Okay, there you go.
Dun,
Yep.
dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, okay, yep, I'll give you that. Okay.
That is no, I mean, I would put that song probably 100th on his list of songs. He is just technically a genius, brilliant, influenced everybody. He's part of that big three of Zeppelin, Sabbath, and Deep Purple from the 70s. And then he went on and formed Rainbow, and now he plays neoclassical. He plays like almost like Knights of the Round Table type of music, where he wears these old neoclassical outfits and he plays all this crazy technical shit. But he's a complete asshole. But he's my number two. Randy Rhoads is my number three, who we talked about earlier. Dave Mustaine from Megadeth is my number four, and Jeff Beck is my number five.
So no Hendrix?
Hendrix not in my top five.
I would have thought that he is in a lot of people's top
He's a lot.
five.
He's like starts being like 6, 7, 8.
No.
But like Hendrix's favorite guitar player was Jeff Beck.
Okay, well, see, I think this is kind of where Mike is getting right, where your personal influence is like coloring your list, which is fine because everybody's going to do that. But I can't believe that everybody's top five does not include Hendrix.
But it does. But to me, it's because. But to me, I think everybody just thinks they're supposed to say that. Like they're something.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you that. Yeah.
They think they're supposed to say Hendrix, so they say Hendrix. Now Hendrix is fantastic. He's marvelous. He's a magician. He did things. He made notes last forever. He made mistakes into wonderful tunes. The guy is incredible. He was really great. He played his guitar upside down. He didn't have left-handed guitars in. He had to flip it. He strung his guitar different. He gets to me. I mean, he's like number 7 or 8. I mean, he's way, way up there for me. So I don't want people to hear this and misunderstand. But for me, the list was Iommi, Richie Blackmore, Randy Rhoads, Dave Mustaine, and Jeff Beck.
Dave Mustaine. Yeah,
Dave Mustaine's incredible. And
Definitely.
The amount of riffs that Dave Mustaine have written, the amount of those.
Okay, say him again. Say him slow to me.
Tony Iommi is my number one guitar player of all time.
Let's talk about Tony Iommi. All right, he's written every riff. Everybody has played fast or slow.
That's correct. He's also invented like 4 genres and subgenres.
So next is
Richie Blackmore.
Okay, tell me about Richie Blackmore.
Richie Blackmore is the guitar player for Deep Purple.
Okay.
He wrote one of the most iconic riffs of all time, "Smoke on the Water," which is like it's so iconic you can't play it in Guitar Center because no one wants to hear it anymore.
Right.
But that doesn't even touch kind of his playing.
But what else did he do?
Oh my God! All of Deep Purple's catalog.
I'll just listen to that.
In rock, and then Rainbow. Go listen to Stargazer.
Right.
Go listen to anything.
I've heard that. Yeah,
go listen to anything by Rainbow and go listen to anything by Rainbow and listen to the guitar playing, and that's Richie Blackmore. Go listen to anything by Deep Purple.
Next,
Highway Star. Next, Randy Rhoads.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and then then Dave Mustaine.
Of course, I love Dave Mustaine. I even love Dave Mustaine's singing.
And then Jeff Beck.
Yeah, of course. So, you got a pretty solid top 5.
Jeff Beck was in a band with Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton. And he was in a band with Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton where he was considered by everyone to be the best guitarist in that band. Think about let that
Okay,
let
all
that
right.
marinate around your head for a minute.
Is that cream?
Right. That's pretty
That's,
good.
no, that's the Yardbirds.
Oh, Yardbirds. Okay.
And then Led Zeppelin was supposed to be the new Yardbirds. That was actually what they called. Then somebody said this band's going to go for like a Led Zeppelin. And they were like, that's our name. They thought they were going to fail.
Let's cut this. Let's do another one tomorrow night.
Okay, I can't do it tomorrow. I can't tomorrow night. I'm
Okay.
out of commission after for like 10 days. So
What about the next day? Because we got to get into we got to talk you into being into Marvel. Unless you just want to cut it now.
No, just keep going.
And
Can we roll it long?
We'll go. Let's do a part 2. So signing off, we'll do a part 2
Sign
now.
off. We'll do. This is 38. We'll come back to episode 39. Just
Do
keep going.
39
All right.
right now. We'll just keep
All right,
going.
guys. I just want you to say I'm having a blast.
John's having a
I'm
blast.
having a blast.
We're gonna do a part 2, which will be 39, and we're gonna get into what me and John love the most, which is movies and Marvel.
Some comic books.
Right
Absolutely.
on, comic books. What do you got to say?
Peace out, folks.
Let's do it.